COVID? It's a germ. There is so much more to germs than what meets the eye. See what I did there? Meets the eye? The coronavirus is a virus and therefore is also considered a germ. However, controversies have tried differentiating viruses and germs. If you don't believe this concept, please skip the first part of this video, as later on I will talk about the coronavirus basics. So what are germs exactly? Well, one thing is for sure. As we get more technical and advanced regarding the knowledge surrounding germs, the term germ won't be the only word we'll use. In fact, there are 4 main types of germs, one in which is questionable and could be arguably its own species per se. These 4 types are bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and viruses. They all are capable of invading animals, people, and plants. However, for this episode, we won't go into the specifics of the types of germs, but rather what they are, where they are, and how we know of their existence in and around us. So why are we discussing germs when COVID is the goal to my project? Well, COVID is a germ in some ways, as it is a virus. And in order to understand the whole concept of COVID, we must learn the basics of COVID from the very beginning to the very end. Or semi-middle, since people are still trying to figure out more about this virus. So for those who aren't mad scientists yet, or simply want to understand more about COVID and health science surrounding it, this is definitely your video to watch, by the way. Anyways, according to the broad English definition, germs are microorganisms that produce disease. Many germs invade our bodies as they take energy and nutrients from us. These tiny machines basically are single-celled organisms. Though, there is so much more to germs than what meets the eye. In other words, we can't see them with just our eyes. In fact, a microscope is needed in order to just see these microbes. And due to the fact that they are basically invisible, many don't know the fact that these germs are literally under our noses, within our houses, and infect upon contact. These germs especially love the dirty bathrooms, as many diseases come from daily usage within these bathrooms. That's why we constantly hear from our parents, "Did you wash your hands?" In fact, by using soap and water to wash our hands, we could get rid of almost 99.9% of germs that were once on our hands. And this is only if you wash your hands correctly. To do this, you must lather your hands with soap on both the front and back of your hands, in between your fingers, and even your wrists. By singing happy birthday twice, which is around 20 seconds, while washing, you will definitely get the majority of germs off of your hands. Fun fact, washing your hands with soap and water is a lot more effective than using hand sanitizer. Although hand sanitizer is faster and easier to use, it doesn't remove all the types of viruses and bacteria, as some become resistant to the alcohol within the hand sanitizer. For example, it does work well in clinical settings, but it isn't capable of erasing all the germs from sport or food settings. And if you don't have enough hand sanitizer, it will become ineffective to your germy little hands. This goes along with the alcohol concentrations within the hand sanitizers. If there's too little alcohol concentration within the hand sanitizer, it will become too ineffective, as seen in many studies. And if this isn't enough, young kids can become poisoned by the alcohol-based hand sanitizers if ingested. Therefore, with the molecules within the soap destroying the membranes of germs, the frictions of your hand erasing the microbes, and finally the mixture of water and soap wiping away the germs, pretty much altogether, soap and water are more effective at destroying germs than hand sanitizer is. Germs, germs, germs. They are surrounding you at this very moment, multiplying as we speak and invading every possible area. But who, in a way, is watching over us as we become surrounded by such germs like the coronavirus? The WHO, the UN's health agency, which was founded in 1948 and has its headquarters in Switzerland, partakes in this role as they attempt to create a healthier future for the people internationally. They work as a major healthcare system that coordinates the health and illnesses of others from all around the world. The WHO, or the World Health Organization, carefully examines the major diseases and viruses like the coronavirus and helps countries prepare and respond to the virus. Not only this, but they made sure that healthcare workers are supplied for the sick people, as they also searched for an acceptable vaccine for COVID. They brought around like 400 researchers together to do this. As an agency that advises countries what to do during these chaotic health-related times, like the pandemic, the WHO is one that you should be a little familiar with while watching these episodes, as I might mention them at some times. And if you've heard popular rumors and stories about the bat having anything to do with the coronavirus, it's true. Well, most of the stories. You see, in the past, the bat was a major cause of viruses like SARS. Many of the viruses were once viruses that only pertained to bats, and over time evolved as the virus came more in contact with humans. The transmission will be discussed in the 5th episode, if you want to learn more about it. People know these viruses have evolved from animals due to distinct similarities in the genetics of these viruses. Yes, the symptoms are quite similar, as they both are involved with respiratory problems, and sometimes there are no obvious symptoms at all, and they may just carry the coronavirus pathogens. A bit much, I know, but it will make more sense once you watch all these videos. The coronavirus's viral genome means its code for when they infect cells in the respiratory system. Basically, the viral genome can either consist of RNA, a single-stranded code, or DNA, a double-stranded code. The codes are very important for the coronavirus. Without it, the coronavirus can't multiply within the host cell. Codes like the virus's DNA or RNA are basically a blueprint to build something, and in this case, the codes are used to build more coronaviruses. But this code is extremely important for scientists so they can identify the coronavirus. We all have genomes that characterize what we look like and sometimes act. The genomes we have make us each a different individual person. For a coronavirus, this whole virus can be identified through the genomes they have. Sometimes these genomes can change when the coronavirus injects a host cell with these codes. And after analyzing these codes, scientists try to figure out its origin, and they compare this code with the codes of viruses from other species. In terms of the coronavirus, after scientists learned of its code, they compared the code with the code of viruses of bats, and found that these codes were very similar. The specifics about this will be in a later video, after you've learned other terminology pertaining to the coronavirus. But here's the basic terms: genomes, codes, the WHO, etc. There are also the basic symptoms when asking yourself if you have the coronavirus, and this will be discussed later on in this video, so stay tuned. Okay, so moving on to how the coronavirus spreads, it's strange that viruses like the coronavirus thrive in cold environments, but at the same time, the coronavirus was and is affecting all areas of the globe, like New York to Florida. And this has to do with the population of people in a single area. So, simply imagine 100 people in a cramped room with no windows, no doors, etc. Now, all these people are inhaling the same air as others are, and as a result, they could easily get whatever illness the person next to them has. So, if someone sneezes or coughs into the air, droplets like these disease germs are able to travel up to 6 feet. They can land on handles, phones, doorknobs, or just on other people. And henceforth, this is how the germs are transmitted from one person to another. Another person would grab this handle, phone, doorknob, whatever, and would then carry the droplets and the germs the ill person had. Then, if they touch their nose or touch the food while they're eating, the germ is transmitted to the inside of their bodies, and there you go. The germ is now inside of you, and is now capable of infecting you. The coronavirus is also airborne, so it is best not to breathe in the same air as the sick people are breathing out. And this is why the CDC urges people to be at least 6 feet apart from one another, to cover your cough and sneeze, and to wear a face mask. And yes, I know many of you would prefer not to wear a face mask, but a face mask basically creates a barrier which keeps the bad germs from spreading to others. I mean, really, wearing a face mask each day keeps the virus away. So, the 100 people crammed together in an enclosed space is a bad germ's dream. People cough on others, then people touch their faces or inhale the droplets from others' sneezes and coughs, and if one person has bad germs, then everyone in the room is vulnerable to getting these bad germs. Though, this differs depending on the illness. If people already had certain illnesses, they are immune to it. This is different from the coronavirus, though. And not all germs are bad, but we'll discuss these concepts in other videos. For now, I'm just German with it. But now, let's look further into the COVID subject. Overall, the basics of the coronavirus are quite simple. The symptoms usually correspond to the respiratory system's functions. For example, if you have the coronavirus, you will most likely have difficulty breathing. You may also have a sore throat, a loss of taste and smell, in which we'll discuss the reason for this in another episode, a runny nose, fatigue, and headaches. From the respiratory system, you are able to get oxygen and bring it to the muscles that need oxygen. This is why you also drink water after you exercise. Your body needs the extra H2O, or the oxygen fused in the water. If there isn't enough oxygen in the body, your body will become sore and weaker than usual. And since the coronavirus makes you have difficulty breathing, it will be difficult for you to get oxygen into the body to maintain homeostasis, or to keep the body at a normal, healthy condition. The lack of oxygen will also make you tired, as there isn't enough oxygen in the brain or the muscles. Other symptoms of the coronavirus you should look out for includes fevers, nausea, diarrhea, and a series of unstoppable coughing. In fact, I found that if you hold your breath and count for 10 seconds, with Mississippi included, this means you probably have the coronavirus. It's a good self-check for yourself just in case you believe you have the coronavirus. And there you have it, the first video on the basics of the coronavirus. If you're interested in watching more, feel free to click on episode 2. If you feel I haven't covered much of the coronavirus in this video, be patient, as the next video will digress more into viruses. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to thank the doctors, the nurses, and others who have partaken in helping stop the spread of the coronavirus. Remember this, superheroes wear masks too! Thank you!